So hello and good evening. Today's Thursday, April the 4th. Welcome back. We're going to get started with the class shortly. I'm just going to first go over the particulars on the assignments and the projects, and then we're going to start the actual exercise. All right. Hope everyone is well. And if you have any questions after I finish the video, you can ask. I know I promised some of you I'm going to answer some other tedious questions. I'll be more than happy to do so. All right, so let's have a strong finish and let's have some fun at the same time. I'm going to turn off my camera here and share my screen. And let's get going here. My entire screen will be saved, captured. Keep in mind, all the videos are up to date so far. I know sometimes it's a little bit of a extra chore for me to get it up there, but this one, this is class number 12. So up to class number 11 was last week. All right, so you can see it up there. Make sure you watch some of these videos if you haven't. If you did miss a few, classes or videos, they're there for you. If you do subscribe, you will access my other videos as well, as some of you already saw. So make sure you do that. Going forward, I'm going to keep building this thing and create like a community. Okay, so keep in touch even after we finish our business here with this course. Right, and so let's just talk about the projects first. Okay, so as we started last week, the last project is your website. So there's a project for every module. So for the Photoshop module, just like you did the application splash banner last week, for this one you have to do a web page design. Okay, so the web page design will consist of all these different things. This is just an example of what we did in class. Of course, you'll do a better design than that one. And I'm going to show you something more elaborate this evening on how you can take Photoshop to the next level, and also how it can help you with where your current other classes are, whether you're doing your HTML, CSS, and other frameworks of the web page building process. So you're going to create a one-page responsive scrolling website of your choice in Adobe Photoshop and follow the criteria below. So it's going to be a desktop size template, single main page. You're going to do a large format, 1920 by 1080p. All right. You can do a regular format if you wish, which is 1400 by 1400 pixels. You're also going to create a mobile conversion to fit the size for most current devices. Today, I'm going to show you how to create the mobile conversion from the desktop conversions. You're going to do both responsive design. Layer masks are also, these are some of the techniques that you learned throughout the course. I want you to demonstrate as many things as you can. Doesn't mean you have to go through the whole checklist here, but try to do the best as you can to describe as much as you can. So like layer masks, for example, right? To show transparency. We did that a few weeks ago. Various selection methods, which I don't think you can get it without it, in order to get a perfect selection or extraction for certain images. Generation of assets are to be used. Today, I'm going to cover that. So how do you generate image assets for HTML? You're going to see how that's done in Photoshop. Layer styles are optional, but they do create a nice creative presentation with some of the stuff you can't do in code, you can do in Photoshop, right? I mean, let's be honest, Photoshop, pretty much there's nothing you can't do when it comes to image manipulation, even effects for styles and headers and stuff like that. Complete mockup showing the navbar along with other additional assets. And you're going to hand in a Photoshop format for the final submission, along with the image assets, which are zipped. The Photoshop format is going to contain your desktop website and your mobile website. Okay. Good luck and have fun. So this is due at the end of the semester, 2 weeks from today. Okay. The last class, usually I'll do like an overall review, and I'm going to just kind of give you time to get this finished in class. So that's what we're going to do usually on the last class. We wrap things up. We always do a lesson. Usually I do something just to cover some material, but I will give you some work period time to get it done. And I encourage you to stay even after class when you're here tonight. I know it's a long day for some of you, but stick around. I mean, to get things done, ask me some questions. I want to help you. Okay. I do the same thing with the other classes as well. All right, so this is the big project. Now, there's a small assignment that you have to do as well. This one you can get done, honestly, maybe Maybe next week you can do this one because I don't want to overwhelm you at once. But I will talk about it. Oops, let's see your Photoshop module. This is class number 12, okay? And your class number 13 is the motion design class, and this is the actual assignment there. When you want to find assignments, you can always go to Gradebook and find them that way, okay? But just so you know, I stuck it under that class because I wanted you to kind of keep that as your last, worry to think about. This is the actual files that we're going to use. Where's the actual assignment? Let's see here. Oh, I apologize. It's right here. So there's your two assignments. You already did the Facebook ad, and now you're doing the motion design for web. This is the basic animation. This is doing the last week. So this is something that you're going to have to do. Again, this is a very small, simple assignment. You're going to have some fun doing this one because you're going to create an animation in Photoshop, okay? And I'm going to show you all the cool little tips and tricks to get it done. You're going to create a basic animation in Photoshop, and you're going to incorporate the following. So minimum of 30 frames, motion design, opacity or effects, which is a tween option we're going to incorporate, and you're going to export it for web, and you're going to produce a GIF and a Photoshop format for submission. So this is your assignment for the Photoshop animation class, okay? I'm going to cover this and give you an example or a demo how to execute it, okay? So all this stuff I still have to cover my ground with showing you how to do it. So that's your two assignments. Sorry, one assignment and one project left. The motion design and the website. Now, last week, we did cover or start the website built. So if you haven't watched the video, make sure you go click on the YouTube link that I create every week for you, the YouTube channel, and you can watch the video, which is class number 11. I talk about how to build this thing from scratch. Today, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to continue from where we left off. So if you do go ahead and just open up my folder from where we left off last week, it looks like this. We started with this, okay? A simple design. I think we did another one. Yeah, we did this one, right? Remember we did Amazon? We did an Amazon wireframe design. So this could be an Amazon website. If I really put details and images and colors and graphics, this can look like an Amazon website. Just give me another 5 hours, okay? I did this in an hour and a half or something like that. But this is the skeleton of the website. And then we took this, I believe we built something like that, just to make it more visual and colorful with images. So the video covers how to do this. Now, the main takeaway is how it's built using the 12-column grid, something that if you're familiar with Figma or Adobe XD, has a very similar approach when you do prototypes. You do a 12-column grid and you build a website prototype in those programs as well. Photoshop really does a good job doing that also with its layout grid capabilities, which is under View, Guides, New Guide Layout. So when it opens up, I'll show you. While this is opening, oh, there it is. This is the website that we built. So look at the 12 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why 12? This 12 is a great common denominator, right? You can't use like 36 because that's way too much. Maybe 36 years from now. But 12 is a great number because you can put like 3 columns into 12, 4 columns into 12, 2 columns into 12. A lot of numbers divisible into 12. So a lot of designers pick 12 columns. Now, when I see people do responsive design for a tablet, they use 8 columns. When they do a mobile design conversion, they use 4 columns. I've seen some people use 2 columns because when you resize something on a mobile device, everything is like kind of like truncated down to like 1 column, basically, right? But the grid is different. Doesn't mean 4 grids, 4 columns, right? So this is how we set this up. And the trick is to place these images in there. So I use different placement options. Remember we did the option click button to fit the image within the rectangle. That's called a clipping mask. We also did, instead of this, another option is to put the image on top of the shape, this being the shape, this being the image. Once you put it directly on top, you can right click on the image and give it what's called a clipping mask. So if you do a clipping mask, great clipping mask, it's going to do the same thing. So that's, again, last week's video. I covered all this stuff. The new method that I was also showing you was the frame tool. This one came out a few years ago, so it's quite new. And I did a special folder for that. I believe I integrated these two things on the bottom here, like this image and this text here, into the frame tool. I think this is the only image, actually. And the frame tool works like this. There's the frame, and there's the image inside the frame. Again, I even did a little video how the frame tool works. You can watch a little tutorial. And
the frame tool allows you to create placeholder frames.
He's going to basically explain to again how it works. Okay, so again, not to repeat myself too much, but last week I did all this. So please watch that video if you haven't to get to this point. So what happens next? Well, next we have to figure out how to make this into like a website, right? What's the point of doing this if it doesn't become a website? But to be honest with you, a lot of things can happen with this because you can show it to the client and get a decision making on the design. So they can say, yeah, I like this. I like that image. I don't like that image. I like that color. I want to change the header. I like to change the menu. I want it to say something else. There's a typo. A lot of things can be accomplished with this alone. Because let's be honest, every job depends on communication, right? If you don't communicate with your boss or client or your design team, the job's not going to get done. So it's important that you deliver this communication. And this is a great way to do that. You're not going to sit there and build a website and then show it to your client and say, do you like the website? It's like building a house for someone. You're not going to build a house and say, hey, do you like your house? No. First, you make a blueprint. Then you talk about, hey, there's 3 plans or 3 windows or whatever, right? So the design discussion is very important. It's imperative that you do that before you build anything, whether it's a house, a car, a website, same thing. That's why the design is important. But now we're going to take this further. Not just the design. We're going to export these assets for actually using them in HTML. Now, how do you do that? By using some of the other capabilities that are part of the Photoshop program. Just to show you where I'm going with this, I have another similar class that I teach that's again part of this one as well. I'll show you my Photoshop preparation that I did here. Class 11 here. Oh, never mind, it's over here. Right? Remember I showed you this very rough example of this website? How people take Photoshop to the next level? Let me open it for you. There's a lot of these online. You can purchase these templates for like $60, $70. And they give you a Photoshop ready template that has all the layers and styles built in. Look at all these layers and groups. See, look, everything is within these folders. And if I hide them, you can see different parts of the website. Look, there's the header. There's the slide or the hero banner. There's the other banner. There's the menu for the food, not the menu for the navigation. There's the other banner here. Look, testimonials, right? Specials, footer. So if I zoom in and I do FF tab, H, zoom in even more, like this can actually look like an actual website, right? Right? Hope you guys had dinner because you're going to get a little hungry looking at this again. Right? So you see this, all this became like a nice design for the website. And yes, look, it's all draggable and movable. And you can totally make this design change here. It's a lot easier to do it this way than to do it with code, right? Let's be honest. All right. And you can see how intense this stuff can get, right? Look at all these different folders and layers that I have. Right? So I'm not saying you should do exactly this, but if the requirement's there and you really dive into this, like deep and you want to do design, you can. It's just a matter of, incorporating more things. I know you're doing like other things, other classes. Very few, I got students that can accomplish something like this in my class, but I've seen people come pretty close with some deliveries. So yeah, just to push the envelope with you, this would be an ideal delivery for our website. Something like this would be nice, right? Okay. Now, how do you convert this into a website? So that's why I'm going to keep a simpler design like this one, right? And what we did was we created multiple pages. Okay. Let's see, where's my other folder? I have this other file that I saved so I can show you. This is just another example that I used on another file. Let's see here where it is. Was this the one? I think I threw it out by accident. It's the one here. Anyways, I'll find. I'll show it to you later. Better than showing it to you or seeing what I did, why don't I just build it with you from scratch to show you what this next level of design entails, all right? Okay. But we're going to use this one as an example. I'll even upload this on the class module so you can follow me along and use the same design here. Maybe it's better that you watch me first, and after when you do the video, you can perform with me and get it done. All right. So what happens here? I want to put a logo or something in here, maybe some social media icons. These are little details that you can get from, sources and online stuff, right? Just to kind of show you where this is going here. Maybe I'll type in, there's like icon graphic websites. I'm going to use this template that I already have, just so I don't waste time looking for images online. And I'll give you this file, okay? I will use my graphic conversion here. Just open this file up here. I'll open this one. I think sometimes I delete the wrong files by accident, but it's okay. Mockup assets. Yeah, that was the one. Oh, here it is, for crying out loud. It's just the thumbnails are so deceiving sometimes. I'll just use this as my example here to show you this is something I built the other day with my other students. Okay, so their job was to do a 4-page band website. So they have to do a website like you are, but the difference is you're doing a more expanded full-page design template, like some of these are online. And that becomes your like web page, because you can always replicate and make a website. They had to do 4 separate pages for their other web class as well. So in Photoshop, I showed them how to make 4 artboards, which I'm going to show you as well. This is what it looks like. Okay. So from one page, we did 4 pages, like 4 artboards. There's the 4 artboards. So there's the home page. There's the about page. This is the like songs page. And this is like a merch page, how to buy merchandise and stuff. It was from Music Band, right? So there's a lot of the merch products. Same sources that we use as well. If I show you the columns, they're all pretty much the same 12 column grid, right? Look what else we did. We created a mobile conversion. Now, this is something that I want you to make, a mobile conversion. So your job is to make one of these and one of these. I don't care about these 4 pages because you're not doing a banned website, right? You're doing any other website of your choice. You can do any template you like. Want to do a band? Do a band. You don't have to do these other pages. Because honestly, it's just a replicate. You're replicating them and you're just adding more stuff. Okay, so you're just going to do pretty much that. And this will be expanded further down. Right. So I'm going to convert this into this. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. So one thing is, if you want to create, let's say you want to expand this a little more, because it is going to be like a web page. We purposely avoided the artboard tool because it's easier to create something without artboards to worry about. But once you have the artboard selected, you could create multiple pages. Photoshop didn't have the capability to do multiple pages up until, I don't know, some years ago. Before, Photoshop could not do multiple artboards. Same as Illustrator. It took a while for Illustrator to make multiple artboards. We had to save individual files and then amalgamate them in a PDF software to make multiple page documents, especially for print, not really for web, for print. So now it's easy. You got multiple artboards. You can create multiple pages and produce websites or print documents. So in this case, the web pages. So I'm going to select all these different folders here. Okay, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to create an artboard, right? Artboards from layers. Now, if you're doing this from the very beginning, you can specify an artboard from the get-go, okay? So if I do it this way, I'll call this home page. So now this is an artboard with all the home pages in it. And when you have an artboard, you can click on these little plus buttons to make copies of the same artboard and make more artboards. Get it? That's the benefit of artboards. If you create a new document from the very beginning, which if you haven't, do this instead. When you create go to web and you create like a web page, let's say I go to large, web large, least thing. Remember I asked you to turn it off just for last week's sake because I wanted to keep it simple. Well, now that I'm going to show you artboards, leave it on. Because if you leave it on, you don't have to do that step I just did, convert layers to artboard. It's already an artboard. Get it? So if you do that, there's your artboard. So now you can just go ahead and make as many artboards as you need, right? This is fine and everything, but wouldn't that be a lot of work if I was to do this and redo the whole thing, right? That's not smart, is it? Even WordPress doesn't do that when you make a WordPress website. What these platforms do, like Wix, WordPress, and whatever, they use templates. You take a template and you just replace images and headers and content, and you build a website in an hour, right? I've done that before. So you can do that. Same as Photoshop. You can actually do the same technique, use your primary design as your template, and build other pages from it. Okay? It's harder sometimes to work with a design given to you. It's better to make one yourself. That's the beauty about doing this. So how would you do that? Well, first I'm going to deselect this. I'm going to hide the guides. Go to View, Guides. Sorry, Show Guides. Show Guides. Okay. Sometimes you can go to Command apostrophe. Sorry, semicolon. It just gets too confusing to follow me if you have all these guides visible. Let me switch this back to the move tool for a second. If I want to make a second page from this, the best way to do it is if you option drag the top here and drag it over to the right to make a copy of that page. And then you just change this one. Change the pictures, the layout, the text, whatever. I'll do it one more time. You got to click on this artboard tool. You got to look at the top left corner, just like Figma and XD, same thing. Illustrator, the top left corner is how you control the artboard. If you hold Option or Alt on your PC, you can literally grab this and duplicate it like that. Look what happens there. 2 artboards. Look, artboard 1, artboard 2. Speaking of the layers artboard menu, I like to do it this way as well. You can also do it this way. Right click, duplicate artboard. If you want to be safe. Sometimes your fingers might be off with the dragging and all that. This is like guaranteed. You click on this, look what happens. It duplicate. Oh, let's name it about. Let's say we're doing a multiple page website. We'll call this the about page. There's the about page, right? Do it one more time. Right click, duplicate artboard. This will be, I don't know, products page, contact page, whatever. Okay, contact page. See, right? So the beauty is now you can go in there, but make sure you do this when you're finalize your design. The client likes it. You have your template because your project is basically you're building a Photoshop template for design. Okay, and you can then use this template to make any website. So for this page now, I'm just going to shuffle this stuff around. So I might want to get rid of this, this, right? I want to get rid of this and maybe put something else here. Make it look like the about page. Like a lot of websites do that. They just change a few contents and around stuff and they make another page. So this will be perhaps, let me just make my columns visible here. Okay. So here I'm going to just create another frame. I'll use a frame tool like we did last week. Okay. And then this could be the about page. I think it's messing up my other stuff here. Let me just double click here. So there's the about page. I'm just going to do one. I'm not going to do two because it's going to be too repetitive and I got other things I want to cover. So one's enough to show you the example of duplicating, creating pages. So let's say I want to change this image, for example, right? So this image will be changed to something else. Right? We go to my folder here and find something. I'll go over here. There it is. Oh. All right, there they are. So let's say I want to replace this image, right? All it is this. You select the layer that you want to replace it with. You can pull up a folder that you want to drag images from and to. And all you're doing is dragging and dropping one image to the next. Let's say I want to drag this image here. Watch this, drag and drop. Done, right? If it's a little smaller, then you simply have to hit Command T and resize it accordingly. And there's your new image that you can put in here, right? Make this a little smaller here. So make sure you select it. Again, watch this, drag and drop, replace, and just resize. Keep in mind, this is the frame, this is the image. This is how the frame, this is, again, thanks to the frame tool, which is new integrated feature in Photoshop to do placements. All right. So that's how easy it is to change stuff. Now let's put something here from scratch. The thing is, when you already have a lot of stuff happening here, be careful because then you have to maybe lock some layers to prevent them from being affected. Especially when you have like a background like this, it's always a good idea to like lock it. You see this little lock icon? So just remember that if it keeps giving you a hard time, just lock the background image. Because if I place a rectangle on top, it'll clip it. It's assuming, hey, you want to put the image inside the rectangle, it'll make its own assumptions. One thing I don't like about AI and computers, they try to think for you. And that's a bad thing because you don't want that. You want to make decisions, not it. But right away it thinks that's what you want. Oh, do you want to do this? Let's just automatically do it. And you're like, I don't want that. Why are you doing it? right? This has always been argument. We're going to have arguments with the computers now. They always suggest stuff that you're not okay with. So to prevent this from happening, you might have to do some preliminary things like locking this layer. So when you do draw like a rectangle, it won't assume that you want to put the image in the rectangle. It'll just do that just by this. Look, so you're gonna, let's just draw a frame here, and the frame just stays without putting this in it. So just watch out for those little things. Let's put this picture in here, drag and drop, done. Click on the image, Command T, resize it. Okay. So this could be like a different page of the design. Let's say I want this to be a longer page with more information, more content, because obviously you guys have to do that. I'm going to click on this About page and simply just extend the height. You're elongating the vertical on the website. And of course, then you click on this, the Move tool, and I'm going to select this and this. Oops. Move the footer down here. Move this down here. So I'm creating more space for other things that I want to happen. Perhaps I can copy, look how easy it is to copy from one artboard to another. I'll copy this, 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 and this. I can even copy the whole body. Well, maybe I'll copy all these layers here, right? Option, drag them over here, right? And then replace them with other images or other things, or just create 3, 2, 1, whatever domination you like. Okay, so that's how you can create multiple pages in Photoshop using the Artboard feature tool. I would always suggest you duplicate the finished template artboard that you've done to make other pages. Now, again, you don't have to do this for me. All I'm asking you to do is one beautiful design web page with a mobile conversion, okay? Because if I ask you to do those other pages, you'd be like, oh, no, it's a lot of work. I realize you're doing other things. I want to keep it simpler, but I still want to show you how to deliver on that level as well. So having said all that, let's go ahead and create the mobile version now. So I'm going to grab this. Well, I'll leave this alone. I'll just kind of create another. I'll take this home page, right? I'm going to create another artboard here on the left. Yes, you can create new artboards. Like just simply drag and drop the mouse to make a new artboard from whatever size you want. This artboard, if you go under the properties, what kind of artboard is this? Is it an iPhone X? Is it an iPhone, 5? I like to be like an iPhone. I like 5. You know why? Because it's a nice comparison between the smaller and the bigger version as a portfolio kit. So I'm going to use an iPhone 5 because it's got a nice 640 pixels width. And 640, if you look at email marketing campaigns, there's 640 pixels in width. So when you have like an email blast, like if I show you my promotion stuff on my Gmail under my, my promotions, all these things here, like Vitamax or Niagara Falls, this is all 640 pixels. This is how they do email marketing. They're all the same width, right? MailChimp, Constant Contact, all these things, they use a 640 pixel width. So if you want to create like an email marketing campaign, that's exactly you're going to create here as a 640 pixel thing. It's a nice little 1-2, right? So let's now make this website here into this mobile design. But before that, let me insert some more things. I think something happened to my design here. I did alter it somehow. Let me save this as another file. Save as. I think I messed up something by accident. I'll save it on the desktop. This will be my website, wireframe, Amazon 2 as a Photoshop file. Always save the Photoshop file. I'll put this one away. I'm just going to backpedal where we left off last week here with this class. Go to my WDDM folder, class 1011. Right, so I did move something by accident. It kind of looked like this. I think I moved the menu down or something like that. I did mess up that, but I'll fix it. It's not a big deal. I just noticed something did change. All right, so let's just keep going forward here, right? Yeah, so I just move that over. I'm gonna double click. Go ahead and get it. Yeah, no problem. I'm just gonna move this over here. The width 1920. Right. Did you find it?
Yes.
It's okay. Get your charger. Here we go.
Thank you, Bob.
No worries. I think I have this thing locked. All right. Anyhow, I'm just gonna fix this very quickly. Over. Got some social media icons I'm gonna place in there. Just gonna quickly grab some of these. Maybe I'll grab them from this document here so I don't waste time looking for social media icons. I even have like a logo I can grab. So this logo here that we just kind of put together very quickly, what you might want to do them one in Illustrator. You might want to just do a logo from whatever source you like. Here we go, drag and drop. This is the logo we're gonna have. Perhaps it'll be in the corner or something like that with the website. Maybe in the center might look better. Right? Like that. And maybe this can be moved up a little bit. You know, this little blue rectangle box is giving me a hard time. I'm gonna purposely do like maybe a color blend of some type. Maybe I'll do this one here. I'll do a nice little color blend. Right, multiply, right? We'll get some social media icons as well. Again, I'll grab it from this source here. Where's the social media icons? Oh, there we go. Some of these guys over here, drag and drop. And again, you can get this. You guys know how to get these icons, right? Online, you can just Google them or whatever. You can grab the main social media icons. They usually go in the corner. Sometimes I see them in the footer, you know, different placements of these social media icons, right? I'm going to delete this page, okay? Just to kind of keep things more simple. Oh. I think I locked something. That's why you can't bring it in here. Page. I'm going to call this one mobile. Okay, so mobile the menu, and the about page is going to get deleted. So I'm just going to quickly go over here. Pick off the lock button. I think what's going on here. Way too many layers. This guy. See, if you have one locked element, it's hard to even get rid of these artboards. Okay, now it's simpler. Like I said, I'm going to upload this for you so you see an example of how to do this, okay? When I'm done today's exercise. So I'm just going to quickly elongate this a little vertical just to give us some more space. All right, just do a little bit of this. I'm going to grab these, the move tool. I have auto select layer on. So this way I can actually go ahead and select the items I want to select and just move things down. I like how my thing's glitching a little bit here with the copyright stuff right down there. All right. Okay, some other things you can put here, some other elements. It's up to you how you want to dress this up, right? You can put some other things. I'm just gonna maybe perhaps grab these four over here. Maybe these four images just to save some time here. Right? The best way is to kind of select them from the menu. Just drag them over. Right? So this can be like any website that you want. Visually, you can make anything, right? Now, how do we make the mobile version? Very easy. You create the artboard like I did here. I made it a mobile version. Under properties, I made it an iPhone 5. I like that because the other ones are, it's all about pixels. If I go with like iPhone X, it's going to be almost as wide as the desktop version. It's not going to look that nice, right? That's why I kind of question these sizes sometimes. So I like to keep more traditional comparisons, right? And if you do make a real mobile mock-up, then you can, again, justify or resize the, the width and height into whatever increment you like. I'm going to make this a little longer, like that. Move it closer here. So I'm just going to convert these layers here. Let me just save this as another version. Save as. Sure. I'll save it as number 2, right? So here I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this header here that I have, okay? Option drag, move it over here. Oh, I think I'm going to do this. Move it further out. Option drag, there. You literally have to drag it over enough distance for it to separate itself from the other artboard, okay? So just keep that in mind. Same as some of these textures. I do have this image that's in the background. Another way you can duplicate the whole artboard and resize it. I don't like to do that because it'll really kind of transform everything. So just do it this way. Where's this other image that I have? There's the background here. Watch this. Option drag. Oops. Let me do it this way here. There we go. Okay. Want to do a little Command T, that's fine. You can always stretch the graphics and resize your stuff. I mean, whatever works. This is going to be in the mobile page design. So I'm going to just put this behind this, right? Just have this. I mean, honestly, this doesn't look good. So be careful not to stretch your artwork. Always kind of keep it nice. But you could trim it, right? Like you could put this in the right area and just have it separate. All right. The logo is also a very important part. Just going to option drag the logo over. Oops. Let's see here. Make sure you're in the right layer when you do this. Otherwise, you're going to have the same problem I do. How do I center this perfectly? Right? How do I center this? Well, you can do Command A, and that makes the selection in Photoshop. And then over here, you have the alignment options with the move tool selected. You could actually do like left, center, right, just like you would in an object-oriented program. Another way is if you pay attention to your guides, you can literally do this and it'll tell you, hey, this is like the center, right? It'll tell you exactly the middle part is. So change this. Because it's smart guides, right? Now a mobile menu gets converted as soon as you resize something. Like I'll show you, I'm sure you're already aware of this. You've done a lot of studying on this stuff. You know, Canadian made products. Okay, so here's my website here. So if I resize this website, what happens is, right, tablet, mobile, right? So the menu becomes this little hamburger menu. Usually there's like 3 lines going across, and this becomes like colonized into one thing. So a lot of websites have this responsive capability, and your job is to kind of mirror the same thing. So in that case, I'm going to go here quickly and do like a little, you know, a little hamburger menu icon to look like this. I'm going to change the color to maybe a grayish color. I'll make it a little bigger so it's very quite noticeable. I'll move the logo over to the left just to make some room for it. You just design it, okay? Thing is, with the rectangle tool, you can have round the corners if you like slightly, just to make it a little more cleaner, nostalgic looking. The line tool is located here. Yes, there is a line tool in Photoshop. There's also these other rectangle polygons and stuff. I'm going to use the line tool with the 3-pixel width, and the color is going to be this dark blue color that I have. I'm just going to click and drag the mouse, and there's the line tool. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. Why is it not getting wider here? There we go, right? Now keep in mind, I did the fill, not the stroke by accident. So the fill should be none, but the stroke will be this dark blue color. Once I make one, I can just simply go Option drag, Shift, Option drag, Shift. It does the same distribution of the other pixels. So it tells you exactly how big this thing is, right? You can even do the menu itself when you drop it down to show people what it's going to look like. So that maybe entails another rectangle shape. You can draw a rectangle here. Simply just create a rectangle that does perhaps something like that. This will be a nice fill. You can also round this one. But when you round this one, you might want to hide it underneath, behind, so it looks like it's underneath the actual design. So I'm going to place it right over there. Perhaps I'll even, look, rasterize the layer so I can just clip the rest out, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and maybe just make a selection here. You don't have to do these little details, okay? I'm just showing you some little tips and tricks on how to get this thing perfect. Command-Shift-I, delete, right? So now this basically, I made this into an actual menu that I cut out, right? Any way you want to see it fit. The menu is home, products, about. Look how easy this is. Option drag this over here. So it becomes part of this menu. Double click. Return. 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 I should zoom in a little closer because it's hard for me to see all this information. Same thing here. Return. Return. Okay. So there's my menu. And as you know, this is going to be like a mobile design. Something about mobile designs, you got to make sure you spread out the text nicely. So for that, you got to open up the character palette. Yes, Photoshop has a character palette right here. And it's under character, right here, character palette. And you can increase the actual height. This is called leading. So in typography language, we call this leading. Leading controls the height of the text. You have a nice little menu that looks like that. Some people prefer to have the menu line to the right instead of the left. Well, if that's the case, you go to the paragraph tab, and you can change which alignment you prefer. Maybe you like it centered. I think right looks nice in this case. I'm gonna have it right aligned. And this is the menu that we're gonna have set up for the mobile design. Okay. Now this is a temporary thing just to show people how this will work. But keep in mind, there's two artboards here, the home page and the mobile. And here I should have this nice organized day, because notice how the home page last week, we organized it in different sections. We have the footer, we got the frame tool, we use the body, the header, right? We should do the same thing here. In that case, I'm going to select pretty much all this stuff with the move tool like that, okay? Hit Command G and call this header with menu, right? So this is the header with the menu. And even then some, when I zoom in here, I can basically zoom in all the way here and move this up here. Okay. I'll go up here. This will be the actual drop menu. So it'll be like drop menu. So basically this will be, look, the drop down menu. See how it shows and hides? So you can then take it to a program like Figma and do the whole interaction while it drops down and animates and do a whole build on it, right? So just leave it for now. Lastly, the content of the images. So for those particular things, I'm going to go ahead and build this column here. Keep in mind, I haven't done the columns yet. So I'm going to go to View, Guides, New Guide Layout. This is how we built this thing last week. But for the mobile design, I'm going to do 4 columns. The margin will be maybe 50 pixels from the top. I get 30 from the bottom is fine. The left will be probably maybe 25. The right will be 25. And there it is. You see, I made 4 column setup for the mobile menu. That means I can kind of fit it all accordingly and keep it nicely organized, right? Okay. So if that's the case, I'm going to now grab some of these images again. See, these 4 rows now become one at a time. So you literally have to go, drag and drop, right? So this becomes an actual image menu. Let's click on the columns here. Right? So this image then will be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If you want to do something like that. I mean, I could make the margin smaller, but it's all up to the way we're going to have this thing converted. We might not have the drop-down menu. The drop-down menu will be like on top of it. This should also be the hamburger button, ham button, BTN, the hamburger button with the logo. And this will be underneath that, like that, right? And of course, you have a little paragraph here. I'm going to make this a little smaller. It's a little too big. Right. Some text. Yes, I do have the heading. And I do have the text. So you can copy and paste some of this stuff and reuse some elements to build the mobile responsive version. And yeah, you expand this more and more, basically to the whatever height you think is necessary to get this to work the way it does. I'm just showing these visible here. All right, let's grab another one quickly. I'm gonna grab one of these, option drag. There's another image, Command T, resize it accordingly, hit enter. I'm just gonna copy these. Come on. So hard to work with this projector. It's so zoomed out. I can't even select these things properly. There we go. Now I'm looking at it here. All right, done there. Right, and you might have another image and another column, like the other responsive design you're gonna have. Perhaps I'll do another one here. Option drag. There we go. You might have like the footer again. Let's bring it in. I'll resize the footer. And yeah, for the mobile version, you can make it smaller. All right, there we go, right? Right. So I have a desktop version and I have a mobile version, right? All based on how you execute. So this is what I want you to do for your final project. And of course, like, make this more of a website. Like the one I showed you earlier was a good example. So you have like a nice, you can look at other websites and make it look nice. I'm just using repetitive things here. But you can see if I put more hours into this, give me like a week, I'll really have a nice website, right? Yes. So I'm going to show you that next, okay? So for now, this is the design phase. So this is basically saved as a Photoshop file, and you give me that. So I'm going to this is your main file that I'm going to look at. But in addition to this, I'm going to show you how to make image assets for your HTML. So that's coming up next. Like I'm not done yet. Yeah.
Using, what is the benefit of creating the, like the draft of the interface on the website on this Photoshop compared to it on XD or Figma?
Because before even Figma and XD were available, Photoshop was always there, okay, as a prototype tool. The only thing Photoshop can't do is the interactive stuff. Because Figma can make an interactive, prototype. Photoshop can actually do it too, but it's a little more complex than that. But
yeah, if I do this on, unless there's some very special function, but to me, if I do this on Figma, it's going to be fast, a lot faster.
it will be faster. Yeah, yeah. Do you know I can open this in XD and then make it interactive?
I think so because they're the same company.
That's right. So Adobe, like, let's say, watch this. Let's save this right now. And I know Figma is a different animal. Look, I like Figma. I like both programs. Figma is more like a continuation. XD is no longer being supported. So Figma is the way to go forward. And yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. It's probably better to do this in Figma. But again, Photoshop's always going to be there. Figma is going to come and go. All these programs come and go. Photoshop's been here for 40 years.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like me a lot of times, like I hang out with friends on vacation.
Yeah.
And then like my client called me to change a little bit on the project, and Figma is web based, so I just borrow someone laptop, do a little change.
And you access it online, yeah. And this is a cloud file too. I can save this on the cloud and open it in another
But-
laptop.
But that laptop we have to install Photoshop.
You do, yes, it's a more requirement thing, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Again, it's more flexible with smaller things. But this is why you own the software. You can do a lot more stuff.
Yeah, but again, like just for this course, submitted a Photoshop file is a must, or I can do it on Figma
Photoshop file,
only.
because I'm not done yet. I still have to show you where this can go next. Because what Figma can do is generate the image assets for HTML. Actually, it can, but you have to export them all separately. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you guys taken Figma into HTML? Right? How'd you do it? Sorry? Is that like a plugin or?
I think like on Figma, we can export photos.
Yeah, yeah.
Using
Yeah. You can do it, right? So again, with Photoshop, right? The whole thing is the stuff you can do here, you can't do in Figma though, as far as design goes, you know? Like this effect that I did with the clouds, overlapping this thing with the design, the fading and stuff. Photoshop is a lot more elaborate. Okay. And sometimes if you're working for a client, they're going to ask you to do Photoshop templates. They're not going to ask you to do Figma templates. Depends. The more you know, the better. Right. This is a Photoshop class, so I have to give you a Photoshop requirement. Okay. Now, let me again take you where this is going next, right? Yeah. Yeah, so this is like, let's say this is my project. This is what I want you to hand in, right? Give me a design done in Photoshop. And then you do a mobile conversion, okay? Now, let me again answer, where does this go next, right? So now what? How does this become a website, right? This is where the special stuff happens. There's two ways of doing this. One is to convert all these images. Think about it. They're all going to be the same size, and you're going to optimize them for web. Images usually are JPEG files. Graphics like logos and these icons and stuff, they could be PNG or SVG files. So let me just quickly show you what happens here. Here's the Photoshop file, right? Okay, so what good is this now? It's just a design. And like I said before, this is important because you can show your clients and yay, make a website now, right? So now how do I make a website? I open this up and I start with, let's say, the header portion, right? I go to the header portion, I select this rectangle here called the header. Now, if this is amalgamated with an image in the background or something, there's another thing I can show you. Let's just keep it on the simple level for now. This rectangle here, okay? I'm gonna double click on it and call it header.png. I'm putting an extension on a layer. I think I provided you with an actual link here on your, let me see if I have it here. I'll put the link for you, okay? But the link takes you through another tutorial on how to generate these image assets. This is a powerful technique that Photoshop incorporated in the past few years when all this stuff came out, prototype software and everything else. Because Photoshop is still the tool to get this done, right? And if you call this PNG, right? And this logo here, look at this logo here, right? This logo is also called PNG. You put the extension on it, right? This image over here, this image resides in this frame. This image is inside this frame, this rectangle. Well, this rectangle will be called image one, or whatever image you want to give it, .jpg, JPEG, right? Then you go down here and you do the same thing with this rectangle. I'm just going to copy and paste this so it's a little faster, okay? So this will be image 2 .jpeg. This will be image 3 .jpeg, and this will be image 4 .jpeg. So these images now are going to be JPEG files. This big one here, this is the frame tool that I used. This will be also called, we'll call it large pic.jpg, okay? This whole thing will be a JPEG exported for HTML. This is text. Look at the text now. What font is this? It's Arial, regular, 24 points, right? Look at this. I select this. I go up here under layer. I copy the CSS. I copy the CSS. I go to my Visual Studio Code base. What program is you using? Visual Studio, right? I go to brackets. All these editors that I use for HTML. You copy and paste your code there. You plug it into HTML. Let me show how easy that is. I'm going to open up. I'll do Notepad. Even very, very simple Notepad editor tool. Here we go. Command V. Okay, I'm copying the CSS. Look, 24 points, Arial. Everything is there documented for you to put into your website code. Okay, so taking it right from the source. So I'm going to save this now. I'll do a save. I'll call this css.txt. It's a text file which contains code elements for me to copy and paste into my website. So this will be saved into my desktop as well. Same as the header. Let's say the header, I want to copy it as well. So I'll copy the header tag, copy CSS, go over here. I know it says Laura Mipsum there. There's the header, okay? It's transformed a bit. I shouldn't have done that, but that's also saved now into my CSS file. Okay, and this is going to be large. So these also are repetitives. I'm not going to do these. You get the point, right? I rename all the layers accordingly, right? Let's say I do a special design on the footer. I do some kind of a graphic in Photoshop. I can't really produce that in CSS. It's not a great color. Let's say if it's a solid color, fine. You can do it in CSS. But if it's like a nice design or an image, you can definitely transform that. I'll call this footer .png, right? Could be any design that you're making, right? Up here, though, the menu, you're not going to do it in Photoshop. The menu is going to be done in HTML and CSS, right? So nav bar, whatever menus you're doing, that's going to be done by code. Everything else will be supplemented for you to dump in your website. And this gives you an idea. Okay, I'm going to put a header here, 2 sections here, 1 section here, 1 column. You base it on your grid. And then this will be prepared, ready for you to dump it into your website. That's why this, in theory, you should do this first and build a website second. It's like a step-by-step approach. So now here's how you execute this. For the mobile menu, same thing. You create a mobile format, and the mobile menu also gets saved the same way, right? You go in here, you name the files. So this is the newer method that designers use today using Photoshop templates. And trust me, Photoshop is still a requirement for a lot of production techniques. I don't care if you use Figma and whatever, that's fine. But for this class, you're going to have to, do your Photoshop stuff, okay? It's a Photoshop class, the web production techniques. So now, let me show you the beauty of all this. So, okay, Milo, you named all these layers. So what happens next? Well, here's what happens next. When you go to generate, watch this carefully, image assets, as soon as I check this thing on, all these images will be placed in a folder to the right size, ready for me to put into the website. Just like that. This is like, call it your, what's that plugin you guys called earlier from thing? Zeppelin? Okay, Zeppelin. It's like a Zeppelin in Photoshop, okay? It does just that. This little thing, this is the Zeppelin. So you generate the image assets, right? And then you close Photoshop. And there's the assets right here. It makes a folder right where the file is. So here's your file. Here's your design file. And here's the folder that contains all the images ready to go to your HTML. See, look at that. All to size, ready to be imported into your file here. Is that the right one? Sorry, I think it's the wrong one here. I think it's this one here. My apologies. It's this one. There we go. So there's the footer, header, images. Look, PNG, right? JPEG, ready to go. So I just dump those images. They're all resized. You don't have to do anything. Just dump them in your website. And you can see the size if you want. Tells you, look, see? This is 364, 448. All the pixels. Right? So this is why you want to be able to do this. Again, you're doing production techniques. Sometimes it'll be asked of you to do this in Photoshop. Sometimes you're going to be required to do it in Figma. Sometimes you're going to do XD, depending on who your employer is. You're going to have to be able to deliver on many fronts, right? This is why I'm showing you how to do this in Photoshop, to do a website, and you do the actual delivery. This is your assets right here. Now I'm going to give you a tutorial. I'm going to give you a link that talks about this in depth and how to strategically. You can put 50% JPEG. That means it's half the quality. You can do PNG 8-bit. You can do half the size. There's a lot of variables you can program in your layers to control these assets. Very powerful stuff, okay? That's level 1, right? Now watch this next level. You have to go? You're okay? You're feeling okay? All right. Get better, okay? That's fine. I'm recording this. You can watch it after. No worries. Now, do you want me to make a website in Photoshop without doing any HTML coding? Right? Okay, you have to do a little coding. This is only for presenting the website on a browser. Like back in the day, that's how we made websites. Designers pretended to be web designers because they don't have to do any coding because everything was sliced and exported. And they made it because Photoshop can export HTML too. What's it called? Zapier, right?
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin.
Like
I'm gonna
Led
forget
Zeppelin.
it. Like Zeppelin. So Zeppelin, okay? This is Zeppelin 10.0, okay? That's what's gonna happen now. I'm gonna make a website from this design, all right? Now it only works from a presentation purpose. So I can serve it up on the web. I can get a server. Like I already have a server. I'm gonna call it index HTML. I'll do a subdomain and I'll put the website up and I can give my client a link. I'm on my vacation with my friends. I'll send them a link and the website will be up and running for them. Because how are you gonna do it in Figma, right? You have to use the Zeppelin and all these other things. Photoshop can do this. So in order to do that, let's forget the mobile because it won't be responsive. You have to do that in, your other conversions. Let's just do the desktop version. This, my friends, is called the slice tool. This has been around since the beginning of Photoshop integrating web elements. If it wasn't still, compatible or useful, why are they still there? Obviously, people still use it. So here's a slice tool. I'll slice this header right like that. Okay, so this becomes a slice. This becomes, well, I think I accidentally slice number 1. Oh, I apologize for this. You have to have a flat version. So I have to have honestly, no artboards. You can't use artboards and slices. It gets mixed up. So I'm going to have to show you the slice tool on the example we did last week. Okay. I'll do the slice tool. Let me just leave this one alone. I'm going to close this one. I'm going to save it again. Sure. Cancel. I'm going to take out the slices for a second. Here, just back it up a bit. Okay, don't save. All right. I'm going to use this example here. Well, for the slicing. There we go. So this is the one, okay? This is the one here. Perfect. Beautiful. Right. So we're going to turn this website into an actual website with 0 coding, okay? Just like 1% code, okay? So here's a slice tool. No artboards for this. That's the thing. So I'm going to go ahead and slice this little piece right here. And I can optimize this to be PNG, JPEG, whatever I want. This menu, yeah, you're going to build it in CSS, HTML. That's fine. For now, let the client look at it to see that it's a menu. This will be, look, this will be an image too that you can later on change. And this will be an image. Dreamweaver loves this thing. We used to do websites in Dreamweaver and Photoshop like this, like a dream come true, we call it, right? You still have to do a little bit of code. So of course, your CSS and HTML, you can then go ahead and integrate all this stuff. But once you slice all this stuff up, it's amazing how this then becomes an actual website. Let me just quickly do this here. Now this is only good for mock-up purposes. You're not gonna, this is not gonna be responsive. It's not gonna be a real website. Maybe it's not even as good as the Zeppelin plugin from Figma, but it's great for doing a quick little slice, produce the HTML, put it on a server, show it to the clients, so they feel like it's like a real website. So it's not just a Photoshop picture of a design, right? You want to put it on a browser, and honestly, average people won't know the difference. You show this to an average person, they'll think it's a real website. You put it on a browser and it's clickable, it's a website. No one's gonna resize it and see if it's responsive, right? Only we do that kind of stuff, right? So for presentation, for showing the client, for proofing the website, great tool. Let me finish it quickly so I can show you how the execution works. There's the footer, right? So I sliced the web, look, 20 slices. So now I go File, Export, Save for Web. Okay, that's why there's Save for Web option in Photoshop. Then I zoom out and I optimize this as a, I don't know, GIF. Maybe I'll do a PNG 8. This will be a PNG 24 because it's got more colors. This will be a nice JPEG because it's got textures and clouds of a background. I'll do a JPEG, not low, I'll do a high quality. This is called image optimization. This is how when you produce images for websites. So look at this. Look at the size, 7K. But look at the quality. Not that good, right? I'm going to go with I usually go with very high quality because if this is low quality, look what happens here if it's low quality, right? It gets very, very pixely. So do you compromise quality for size? No. And you've seen the internet with a lot of low quality images because they're too optimized to save file size because then the website's faster. It's using low quality JPEGs. But if you optimize it here from 12K, look, I mean, if you make it high quality, it's only 39K. It's not a big deal and it looks nicer. So please don't compromise quality over quality, okay? So just basically go like this. I'm going to do Shift Select, so do multiple selections and make them all JPEG high quality, right? Or very high quality. This is, I don't care, it's going to be CSS text file. Just for now, for visual purposes, I'll make it a PNG 8. And this bottom here piece here also, I'll do a PNG 8. And now I'm ready to save my website, right? So I go ahead and hit the save button, right? I go to the desktop. This is the $64,000 trick right here. HTML and images, my friends. And this is going to be done in tables. Tables was the very first technique we had to make websites. Then came frames, tables, then div tags came out, and then Bootstrap and these other methods came out. Now you got React and all these other frameworks. And yeah, he's going to keep going on and on and on. Now you got HTML 5.0. But this was the original way we do websites. It still works. Like learning a language. Latin still is original Latin derivative language for the other languages that are there. It's the original one. So you do HTML and images, right? You save it onto the desktop, okay? All the slices, yes, please and thank you. Save, right? Done. So now we go over here. I look at my, there's the HTML file. There's the images folder. This is my website. I just renamed this and call it index, and I put on a server, and I can then show it off to my clients what this website actually looks like. Now let's really see, and this is the images. Look at this. All the slices that we did. These are all the empty slices, but this is another way. Without image assets came out, we did it this way. So I showed you the modern way, and I'm showing you the old school way. They both still work. I still see them being very effective in different scenarios, right? Now, let me show you how this website actually looks like on the browser. Let's double click. There's your website, right? Let's zoom out. Okay. This is now a real website on a browser because it's an index HTML file. And this is, look, all what the website has. Look, all the slices, everything is put together for you, right? So now I told you no HTML. I lied. I'll do a little HTML, okay? I'll do the most simplest HTML. When I used to teach HTML 20 years ago, this is the stuff we used to do. Let me open this up in brackets. Oh, I did Dreamweaver accident. And you know what that means? I have to play the song. Have you guys heard the Dreamweaver song? No? Okay, I'll play it next time, okay? You know the Dreamweaver song? Really? No? I'm going to play it now. That's you guys are asking for it now. I'm going to play the Dreamweaver song. That's it. You guys are getting it. Dreamweaver song. Because you guys know the application Dreamweaver? It's a WYSIWYG program, right? So there's Dreamweaver song, right? We'll play the Dreamweaver song here while I'm doing this up here. See, Dreamweaver song. I'll turn it down a bit. It's too loud. And I'm not going to open Dreamweaver, right? I'm going to open up. This is Dreamweaver here, by the way. This is the text editor here. Even this, like the song, the projector.
Just close my yeah.
See?
Climbed aboard the tree.
Oh, you gotta love this song. Will be stuck in your head all night. Listen, I wish I had the speakers to blast it right now. I can't.
Trying to take away my worries of today.
You heard the song in movies. Come on, it's an old song.
Leave tomorrow
Really?
behind.
All together now. Ready?
Dream. I believe you can get
Ready?
oh, dream weaver. I believe we can reach the world.
Okay, so now you won't forget the Dreamweaver ever, right? Okay, here's the HTML file, right? The website looks okay, but not really, because I wanted to maybe center it, because I know what, and look, I don't want people to know I did this in Photoshop, because it tells them there, hey, this is done in slices in Photoshop. I'm just gonna take that away and put center, like that, center tag. Actually, I'll even, I don't even have to even do that. I'll even put the center tag inside the table ID tag after cell spacing. I'll put align equals center, right? Oh, just by putting this extra tag here, I'm going to center my whole website. I'm going to save this very quickly. BG color. I've matched the hexacode of the other color. So here I'm going to call it navy, right? Take off this hashtag here. Command S. Again, this is strictly for presentation. And yes, if I zoom out, this is now the website that's going to look ready for me to showcase to my clients. Nice and easy, right? So no, because are they going to care? Then you charge them another $5,000, right? Because you make more money. So yeah, you can make it responsive by putting your CSS and all the other stuff. You build a website after it. But you see, this is how you can produce a quick mock-up from Photoshop. There's two ways to get this thing up and running, right? And that was how we used to do things 20 years ago, right? Because we didn't have smartphones back then. We didn't care a mobile website, what it looked like. All we cared about was how the website looked like on the browser, right? That's the only thing we had, a computer. We didn't have smartphones. We didn't have tablets. But now with these new things, you have to make of course, take the consideration of doing a responsive website and doing these other things, right? That's why you're learning all the stuff you guys are learning right now. All right. Now, huh? The what? Yeah, the Zapier, Zaplin, whatever. I like XD's link better because you can actually, in XD, you can make it look even nice and full. Figma has this little Figma thing, the window's small. It doesn't look nice. Honestly, I don't like how Figma does that unless you use the plugins. The plugins will make it look better. Can you tweak the iframe? It's an iframe. But will it work with auto layout when you export it with the browser? Does it work on the browser too, or is it only Figma?
Usually when you're not gonna run on an actual browser, it's gonna generate like a link, and when you access to that link, it's actually the Figma website. But what display is your designs. It's used that that's how I usually work.
Yeah, because the only problem I have, and this is, look, I'm still, to be honest with you, Figma was new for me because I was teaching XD for like a while, so I had to switch to Figma too, right? But this was the thing with Figma that we did. Just quickly do it here. Where's the Figma style here? I have a Figma file. Oh no, hold on. I have Figma right here. Never mind. Figma. Here we go. show you guys. So it's good that we're discussing this because they're all kind of interrelated. You're still producing techniques. The thing is, it wasn't in my course to teach you Figma. I know, Felicia's doing that with you guys, right? Yeah, you did XD and Figma, mostly XD and Figma. So, okay, so this is it, right? This is like a quick little thing we did with my other class, like a quick little web page mock-up. When you press play, right? Like, I mean, this is the thing. It looks like this. Like, how do I make it look just like a real website on a browser? So if I do the, and we did a little, I think we did the little navigation scrolling back and forth, like we did a little things like this, right? But how do we actually go ahead and export this as HTML? And chime in on this if you looks like that you've explored a lot more than I have probably in this stuff. And look, this is a simple setup. I have these are like a bunch of components and whatever. So when I go to here, right? When I go to share, this is all the options you have. Because I mean, if you do copy the dev mode link, or if you go embed code, XD has a simpler code that kind of looks like a full screen. But is there another code than this that you've seen? This is the one?
Can we just
Sorry? Yeah.
share it in when you put press?
Oh yeah, right. So okay, so let's say so here I'm playing it now. Here I'm playing it, right? Like this. And then I can share it. But even then when I do share, right? And then I do get embed code, it still has this stuff. And it's still, if I copy this code, and if I go to my, let's say I go to my text editor, I'll use a simple text edit here. Here, let me open it in this thing here. Brackets. I'll use brackets. Right? So look, here's the code, right? The iframe, right? And I'll put it in HTML. It doesn't matter. I'll put it in. I'll put in this one actually. Right? Let's say I do here. I can go. Forget the body. I'm just gonna go. Delete the whole table here, right? Delete, right? And I'll put the Figma code right here, like it's an iframe code, and I'll save this as a different file. I'll call it index2, for example, and I'll do a Figma comparison to HTML to show you guys how the presentation will come out versus Figma versus Photoshop. We'll call this one. So this is the thing now, right? Right? This is the Photoshop file I did. Look at the Photoshop website, nice and clean. It looks like a real website. And then I'll open up the Figma file that I shared with you from the Figma file, and it looks like, it looks like this. You see what I'm saying? That's what I have a problem with Figma. With XD, it looks nice actually. XD has a very similar appeal like Photoshop has.
Can you
Sure. Is there?
you press play again?
Let's press play. Yeah.
Yeah, copy link on the top.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Just pass it in a browser.
Just paste it in the browser, like on a new
Yeah.
window here.
Yeah.
Just paste it here, like that. Okay. Again,
So you can choose option.
but will my client know that?
Yeah, because
I gotta now give them a script. I gotta give them instructions on what to do, and the clients don't want to do this extra steps. I want to have it ready to go for them to do nothing but to look at the website. That's my argument here. So, but go ahead, continue. What do I do now? Options?
Yeah.
Fill screen?
But because you already choose like a frame for iPad, so usually it's gonna be like that. It's a full size already.
But will it scale up nicely and stuff? Can I do what I can in Photoshop to make it look like a real website, right? You know what I mean? The presentation is important, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It'll still do its diligence, right? The clients will still say, oh, nice, your nice looking website, but they'll know it's, it looks like an iPad mock-up. Whereas if we do like an actual, you know, the actual setup that we did in Photoshop, again, XD has a nice way to do it too. XD has a really clean code. I'm just disappointed how Figma doesn't have a simple way to make it look like this. It always has a little extra thing, the skin of the device, like an iPad or an iPad.
Maybe because it's a standard of the industry, because nowadays they're not only Figma on the market, there's a lot of things like the same as Figma with more special features, but with the way that they display, it's kind of the same. Kind of the same to XD and Figma.
I get it. I just wish it was more clean. And I mean, I know there's a way. If you go in the code, you can probably take out the things with the properties. There's probably a way. You have to just clean it up. And that's fine. That works too. But nonetheless, I was just, comparing Figma, XD, Photoshop. I like to compare all the programs. I'm not gonna put one on top of the other. I like to see a website that looks like a website to kind of present it like that, right? Now, let me just show you one more thing, guys, before we kind of not get too carried away with these things. I'm gonna share a link with you from my other class very quickly to your class. So I'm gonna go to the let me go to my Photoshop class here for a second. Okay, back to the image assets, because that's important when you export those stuff for your HTML. When you go to your this is it right here. Okay, I'm gonna copy this link. I'm gonna paste it in your for today's lesson module under web production techniques. So if you go to the Photoshop module, class number 12, this was an extra thing I'm gonna do probably at the end when I'm gonna do some additional stuff with you. I'll move that here. So here I'm gonna add the link, okay? So I'm gonna create a link here. And the link's gonna be visible to you. This is generating, okay? Image assets, and it has a whole tutorial on how to do this, and you guys can do some really, really cool things, okay? So let me just quickly save this right now, and you can have access to that. So this link here, okay? When you guys click on this, it's gonna take you to this generating image assets in Photoshop. It's a nice little step-by-step tutorial. You can generate JPEG, PNGs, GIFs, and SVG, right? So if you want to produce stuff for the web, this is a really ultimate way to do it from Photoshop, because, I mean, let's face it, you can do so many cool things in Photoshop and export anything like this. It teaches you all the little tricks. Look at the parameters, guys. Ellipse 4, JPG 5, JPG. You can put percentage after the extension. You can do rounded rectangle. You can put dimensions, inches and millimeters, pixels. There's so much you can do in your layers in Photoshop when you generate the image assets for website production, okay? There's a lot more you can do. So much control you have. Now, as far as the layout and all that stuff, yeah, you can use any framework, whatever is up to, whatever is up to date. But this is still, images is still images. JPEGs will still be JPEGs, okay? GIFs are still GIFs. So you're using Photoshop, the ultimate imaging software in the world, to produce these assets. You get it? I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to, it's nice to have an open discussion like this. The proof is in the pudding, okay? This is exactly what's happening. So this link takes you through all this stuff here, what I showed you, generating image assets from a website and pumping it from there into your HTML. Okay. All right, so next week I'm gonna get into the animation stuff, okay? So don't worry about that. Next week when we cover the animation, you can jump into that. But today's lesson, I like how it thoroughly covered all these different angles on whether you want to do a mobile conversion from your desktop conversion, you want to create multiple pages, you want to generate image assets, or you want to just simply create, I even show you how to slice a website and produce like an HTML mockup like that, put it on a server, call it index, and there's a website. Yeah, it's not responsive, but is your client going to do this? If they are, then, hey, maybe that's a good thing too. We can just show them that, what, don't worry, don't do that yet. It won't, don't touch it. Don't touch the window. Here's the problem, guys. Most people use their phones now. They're not even probably use a computer. So that's the problem with this. on the phone, it won't look. Then you produce the mobile version one. You can put a link to convert it one from the other without the detection. Right? Anyways, jokes aside, you know, it is what it is. This is how you can tackle many challenges and obstacles using this method. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video now. So stop sharing, stop the recording. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Hope you enjoyed the lesson today. And we have 2 weeks left. So next week we'll do the animation. And we're gonna wrap it up the following week with the animation as well. And that'll be the end of the semester. Okay, hope you had fun. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.